All right, good morning, class, and welcome to week number 11. That is right, week number 11 of your 7314 class, which is your reference class. As always, I'm your professor, Dr. J.S.K. Austin. And this week, what we will be doing is this check-in video will have a small state of the course update. And from there, we are going to go over 3 resources that you would use for career guidance and vocational guidance generally for students, but perhaps also for people who are just visiting the public library as well, but definitely for students. And that can be K-12 students or even college freshmen, and I'll explain that a little later. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and get into this and start out by, as I said, talking about the state of the course. All right, so the most pertinent and most important thing for me to address, and I put an announcement about this already, but I'm going to further, or again, just say something about it. So our final sync session for next week is canceled. Our featured speaker, Dustin Koopman, ended up having an issue that is going to cause him to be out of town next week. So we were going to have a sync session next week, which frankly is my favorite sync session. It's about de-escalating issues with problem patrons. However, Dustin will not be available for that. So what I'm going to need to do is I am going to need to adjust the grading scales so that those 5 points are no longer included in the final tally for the grades. And from there, just have a good evening on next Wednesday. You don't have to be in class, so don't be. And, just enjoy yourselves. Reclaim that time. Go get some extra sleep. Go out, treat yourself to dinner. Treat yourself to a happy hour, or, go exercise or do something fun. Go catch a movie. But enjoy yourself at that time that you would have been in class during that time otherwise, okay? So that's my advice for you there. We do have a discussion that is coming due in November. We have one discussion in November and one due in December. So discussion number 6 is going to be due on November the 13th. So actually, you still have a little while. You have nearly 2 weeks for that. So actually a week and a half, I should say, because this will be uploaded on early Wednesday morning. But you do have that time available. You do have that time available to get this discussion prompt done. And then when it comes to assignments, your assignment that's going to be due in November is going to be your LibGuide assignment, which I hope you all have already been working on. That is going to be due at the end of the month, so after Thanksgiving break. And then also keep working on your semester-long project. So really, that is the bulk of the state of the course update. I am in the process of grading your Wikipedia edit assignments, but there are a lot of other things going on. I do hope to have those finished by November the 13th, but we shall see. With any luck, I will. So that's pretty much that. And with that said, let's go ahead and look at these 3 career resources that I, again, will say are probably going to be very useful for when you are helping students, K-12 students, and generally college freshmen as well. But these are also things that you can direct people to that are coming into the public library and are not students. So let's get into it. Okay, so there are two databases that I am actually going to use Mid-Continent Public Library's website for in order to access these, but these are very commonly found at various institutions. It's just that it's easier for me to get to one with Mid-Continent Public Library, so that's where I'm going to use them. But trust me, there's a good chance that whatever institution you work at will probably have these resources as well. And then the third resource that I'm going to show is just going to be the Occupational Outlook Handbook, which is available online and is produced by the federal government, and it is something that is just free to access, and you don't need to go through a database for it. Okay, so but first let's look at the 2 databases that we're going to talk about tonight for the from Mid-Continent Public Library. And by the way, this video here is probably going to be about 25 minutes total, because we're at 5 minutes right now, and it's going to take me about 20 minutes to talk about these 3 databases. So we're looking about 25 minutes, and again, I hope you sped this up. All right, let's go ahead and make me small here. And so again, what we're going to be looking at is going to be the Ferguson's Career Guidance Center. That is going to be one of our helpful occupational databases. We're also going to be looking at vocations and careers. We're actually going to go into this one first. This one is the one I find actually less helpful than Ferguson. So I am actually going to go into this one first because I'm going to spend less time with this one. So we'll do our intro with this one, and when you go into the Gale database for vocations and careers, this is where you are going to end up. And so what this database does best is that this database, excuse me. Yeah, sorry about that. So this database, the best thing to use this for is when students are trying to write papers that are papers, I guess, outlining what they wish to do or detailing what they wish to do as a career in the future. If they need sources, this is a great place for them to get sources. It can probably be a one-stop-fits-all for a lot of K-12, even, again, college freshmen. Especially if you have people in freshman comp and they just need to bang out one of those really easy, what I wish to do for a career papers and just have like 5 sources for it or something. You see freshmen have assignments like that a lot. And so this would be a great place for them to go. So what you can do, again, you default here, and actually I am going to go into an advanced search. So you do have all of these options when you go into advanced search, and so I am actually going to put in subject and see what happens for dental hygienist. This is the example I always use, and it is right there. So I can do dental hygienist and then in subject and click search. Let's see what happens when I do that. Oh, there is not a lot there. Okay, so yeah, we've only got 7 things here, and I would say I would recommend that you stick with full text when you're in this particular database. You can take the full text option off, and that does bring you some more stuff, but again, I would just recommend that you go with the full text. Maybe I should just use dental hygienists as a keyword and see what happens there. Let's do search here. We still really don't have a lot, so their coverage of dental hygienists just isn't that good. But still, you know, you've got what you have here, and when you find something that you want, first of all, as you scroll down, and you'll see some of this stuff gets pretty old. We've got something that's over 30 years old here. She who laughs gas conceives last. Oh my goodness, that is the funniest title ever. But it's from Science News, so it's from a reputable source, and then it also lets you know how long it is, and again, the publication date and some other things. And then when you click the title, you will be brought into the full text. You'll have that sample citation there. Remember, as I told you, these are only right about 80% of the time. And then you have your options for emailing, downloading, printing, and so forth and so on. Let's see if we can do a different search. How about just dentists? Okay, so of course there's a lot going on there, and so you've got a lot, it defaults into magazines for some reason, but if they are required to use scholarly sources, which I would hope they would not for a freshman class or something like this, I hope they would not be required to use scholarly sources, but if they are, you can just click that tab instead, and you will get those 1,000 plus results. There are 2 books, full text on the books even, so that's pretty impressive. And then you've got news items, things coming from newspapers, as well as images and videos. And the images and videos are generally things that you can actually include in a paper or something like that that's not for profit or a presentation. And as long as you source it out, you will generally not run into any copyright issues using images and videos from this database, because they are not trying to include things that would require copyright compliance. So some other things that you probably want to keep in mind is that you can filter your results here. So for instance, publication dates, if you've got too much stuff going on here and you decide that you want just something like, well, from any date, let's, you know, we can do pretty much any date. Actually, no, we can't. I'm sorry. So, but yeah, let's say that we, because there, again, there's a lot of old stuff in there, but it looks like the presets are not allowing me to go past. That is odd. It looks like they're not allowing me to go past 2012, but let's just say then that you wanted to do the past year. You still got 58 academic journals, 26 magazines, and 2 news items. So you can definitely refine your results there. You can set up alerts so that, like, let's say that there wasn't enough for a dental hygienist when you looked, but you wanted to catch anything that got added that was related to dental hygienists. You could then set up an alert for that. So this is what this is mostly used for, is to gather sources for papers and that sort of thing. Okay, now I'm not actually going to go into Topic Finder or into Subject Guide Search for the sake of time, honestly, but I don't find those things very useful anyway. So if you do want to learn more about these, then go find a tutorial, and the tutorial can show you how to use those. If you do want to find a specific publication, there is a listing of all the publications that they have here, and then you can get things that are kind of broken down by subject. So if you were looking for science and technology sources, then you could click that one, and these are the publications that they include. Well, they include more than that. You'll see this. You'll actually see the show more results option here, and once you click that, that'll load more results. Okay, so this is the Gale database in a nutshell, and again, you would use it mostly for literature searches. Now let's go to Ferguson's, which is one that I enjoy a whole lot more. All right, let's get into it with Ferguson's. So I am going to come up here, Ferguson's Career Guidance Center. All right, so here, no, we're not doing all that. So here's Ferguson's, and when you come to Ferguson's, you are going to be greeted with this landing page, and this landing page does have some very, very helpful resources on it. We're not going to look at all of them, again, for the sake of time, but if you want to learn more about them, then it is totally appropriate to look at some tutorials and take a little tour of Ferguson's on your own and learn how to master this database as well. So you will find like apprenticeships and internships and job postings and to find the career. I don't know how useful that is. I actually have never tried using that for a patron before. Prepare for your career. So I was talking about in Learning Express Library a few weeks ago how, you have resume and cover letter resources in Learning Express Library. You also have those in this Ferguson's Career Guidance Center, and then you also have interviewing, networking, and workplace skills. So you can go into that and you can get some assistance with communication skills, finding a job, learning the ropes, organizational skills, problem solving, and so forth and so on. And you can get some tips on how to interview effectively, including you have these helpful videos here, and I love that they include multimedia in this particular database because that can be very helpful. So again, this is some stuff that you might want to browse, look at, and know that it's available so that if you have a patron that can benefit specifically from these things, then you know where to direct that patron. Now, also, again, for planning education, school searches, and financial aid and all that stuff, I don't know how useful these things are in this database. I've never actually used this database to assist a patron with finding a school or finding financial aid or anything like that. I just never had that type of opportunity. But then this is the lion's share. Exploring careers, this is what you're really going to be using this database for. So you can research industries, browse professions, do a career assessment test, and which is 60 questions long, I guess. And you can even find a career path and some interaction with some of these videos here that can take you down that road, and then you get these these little helpful modules as far as establishing a career path and that sort of thing. So this is mostly module based. I'm not going to go in there because it doesn't really have the same search function, but I am going to go into research industries and browse professions. I think I'm actually going to go into browse professions first. So again, you have you're looking at these very helpful videos when you first come in, but these are the featured professions, and you all are trying to be librarians, so I don't know that you are going to feel that well when you see what the median salary of a librarian is compared to a lot of these other things here, but hey, I'm just going to let it be what it is. All professions, if you want to browse all professions, you can go here, and then you have your alphabetical list. And as you will see, I don't know if they've got librarian or library worker. They've got one or the other. Okay, they do have librarians, but then they also have library directors, library assistants, library science instructors. That's what I do these days. And you can click into this. And so once you click into it, you will have this overview page. That is what you're going to start with. But you can either use this table of contents, or you can use this next button here, and you can find other information, additional information about librarianship. But this is good. The quick facts, the overview is very important. It gives you a nice little essay to start off with, or I wouldn't even call that an essay, but a little brief introduction to it, an abstract maybe is what I should call it. But here you get a lot of useful quick facts, including median salary, the level of education that you need, school subjects that you can take in school to sort of work your way to this. And then duties, outlook. And by the way, for those of you who, I know that some of you have heard people question, well, why would you go into librarianship? Why would you do that? Because it's a dying field. I guarantee you those people have not looked at Ferguson's or the Occupational Outlook Handbook, because the outlook is about as fast as average. We are not a shrinking field like a lot of people seem to think. Personality traits that are helpful include being conventional, helpful, and organized. Although I would say conventional, that was probably something that someone came up with who did not work in libraries, because librarians tend to be actually very unconventional. Career ladder, you can go from library assistant to technician, or you can go straight into librarian with the degree, and then you can work your way up from there. Employment prospects are fair. Advancement prospects are good. I would actually say they're really good. And then you can, again, go to the other categories. So you can hit that next button and look at the history there. The job, get a little overview of the job. Earnings, again, that's very important. So you have the median figures here. Salaries range from less than $34,000 to more than $93,000, so forth and so on. Work environment, basically how the job is, exploring this job, educational and training requirements. That's important. You are going to need that high school, post-secondary, and usually a MLS or an MLIS in order to get into this field. And then from there you can get into certification, licensing, and requirements. I actually did have to get certified to be a public librarian in the state of North Carolina. Traits and skills that are useful for this, and then advancement prospects and so forth. Employment prospects and advancement prospects, and then outlook. Outlook is the big thing. And so if you have a career that looks like it's going to be shrinking, and it's going to be easier to tell this in the Occupational Outlook Handbook, but if you have a career field that looks to be shrinking, it is very important that your patrons know that. And then you have unions and associations, tips for entry, and so forth and so on. I'm not going to go into those, but if you want to learn more, you can do that. And then from there, I went into browse professions. Now you can also look for various industries. And so, hit me right back there. So you've got these various industries here. I don't know if libraries are considered an industry. Yes, they are. So there you go. Education, library, and information services, that's your industry there. And again, you have the same sort of thing going on where you have an overview, and then a table of contents. You can look at background, structure, industry outlook, and these sorts of things. So that's what Ferguson's is useful for. And so when you have students who are supposed to write about the careers that they're interested in, definitely, Ferguson's is a place that you probably want to stop by and look at, because Ferguson's is going to have, again, this great information, and it's very easy to parse through and look at and cite and all of those things. So that is Ferguson's in a nutshell. If you want to know more about Ferguson's, again, you can get some practice on your own, or look for some tutorials on YouTube and that sort of thing. Okay. The last thing we're going to look at is going to be the Occupational Outlook Handbook. So, and it's put out by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, but it is BLS.gov. And then you got a homepage there, and you can go into here, You do have occupation groups. You can search for occupations by various categories, including if you want to limit to, like, let's say that you are the type that's like, nah, I'm not taking any job that pays less than 80,000 starting out. You can limit it to that. But let's say you want that $80,000 a year job and you only have a high school diploma. You do that. You can say, I am not going to come in with training, so I need that training on the job. You can leave that there. Number of new jobs projected. I want 50,000 or more, and growth rate much faster than average. This should come up with nothing because it's such a ridiculous search, but let's see what happens. It came up with stuff. Okay. Oh, no, it didn't. It's showing 0 of 0 entries. Okay, cool. So, yeah, that was what I was expecting. That was pretty ridiculous. Let's go ahead and make something a little more realistic here. Look at that there. Let's do 1,000 there. And as fast as average. This should get us a lot more. Or not. Okay, so I've put out 2 dud searches, and so I'm not going to go back into that search again. So let's just go ahead and from here, let's go ahead and actually pull up again librarianship, I guess. Oh, by the way, yeah, when you're browsing, you can use these. So let's say you are, this is very helpful, and I apologize that I almost glossed over it, but let's say you're browsing professions and you want it to go, let's say you have somebody that's just like, well, I want something where there'll be jobs available. You can go into fastest growing occupations where there should be jobs coming open. And then let's say nurse practitioners, 46% growth rate. I love it. Let's click it. And so you can go in here and you've got the summary first. This is your summary tab. You can look at all these various pieces of information here. You can tab at what they do, and then you can get a better idea of what nurse practitioners, midwives, and I can never pronounce that word. Anesthetists. You can get a better picture for what they do, work environment, just to know exactly what type of working environment you're going to be in. Very high stress, of course, when you're doing one of these types of jobs. How to become one, including the education and the licensing that you'll need, as well as important skills. Pay, job outlook. Well, we can kind of look around and pay. So there's pay right there. You can see the median wages for midwives and practitioners, as well as some adjacent occupations. All right, and then you can look at median pay for all occupations, but that would be anything that's listed in the handbook. Job outlook, you see that this one is projected for very good growth. State and area data, I have used this. I am not going to go into it right now just because I think that there's a lot of maneuvering that you have to do in order to actually get to the good information. Similar occupations, so this is good, and then more info. So we could also do a search. So let's say that we did a search. Okay, so the last thing that I do want to show you is going to be the search feature. And it works pretty much just like any other search feature. So you can put in librarian, and then you can put in go, and then it'll bring you here. Librarians and library media specialists. So grouping librarians, and then also K-12 librarians, who are often called library media specialists. And then you have your median pay here, which is $61 an hour and that sort of thing. And you get the same options that you would have had with the previous thing that we did once you actually identify a profession. And then you can look at the similar professions. So for those of you who decide that librarianship isn't quite for you, but you want something adjacent, then you have these sorts of options, including being an archivist, curator, or museum worker, being a basic adult secondary educator, high school teacher, instruction coordinator, and so forth and so on. So that is how these career resources work. I'm actually going to leave it right there. So we are right at the 25-minute mark. I am Dr. Jace, and you want to help your patrons find a job because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. All right, I will see you all next week, but not in that sync session. Remember that. We will just have another check-in video. Bye-bye.